Hey, and welcome to Dadpreneur Revolution live stream. We are here on Facebook showing up, and I'm really excited about today's guests. So they were totally reaching a next level of overcoming what we thought was impossible and stepping outside the comfort zone to reach our full potential. And so the reason why we are here is to inspire us and men and dads out there to unveil the leader that is inside of them, the guy that we're holding back, that we're not allowing to show up fully. And here's stories that will be told that shows the way how we can do that. So let's dive in and meet an amazing man. So I've been knowing this guy for basically a month now, and we're getting to know each other more and more. And he put up a video about an adventure. It's like, I need to have him here on the Dadpreneur Revolution live stream and podcast to really show the importance of adventure. So this is a guy that I feel is very curious, and he's not backing down from a challenge. And we'll talk about how adventure transforms lives, and he will share his journey to that. So he's a powerhouse coach and been overcoming tons of limiting beliefs. So really transforming himself from inside and out. And so thank you so much for showing up, Dan Zehner.
Hey, Matthias, good to see you, man. How are you today?
Really good. I'm super excited. Now we get the time to ask all these questions that we didn't talk about another time.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it, man.
So let's start off with something called the Fast Five. So we dig into like 5 fast questions to get to know you a little bit and get the temperature up a little bit.
Right on.
So are you ready?
Yeah, go for it. Fire away.
So we'll see. So can you share with me a surprise that you gave to your wife that she absolutely loved or totally hated?
Ooh. Okay, so actually it was a little thing. It was I just took the kids out for a hike and told her to go get herself a massage. It's like, I'm taking the kids out of the house. You go to do something that's going to make you feel relaxed and beautiful.
Hmm.
And she loved it.
She loved it. Awesome. And could you share like what is an action or non-action that makes you come most alive?
A couple of things. There's just something for me about carrying a heavy backpack through the woods that, so I gotta zip it up first so I can show you. I carry around my trusty GoRuck GR1. Today I'm rocking my Navy SEAL Foundation patch. This signifies, so as you see the 75 miles here, I did 75 miles of rucking with a steel plate in my bag here in the month of July, and also 3 ridiculously hard workouts in honor of these awesome frogmen. And so I carry this around. Like yesterday, I went over to the Purdue Horticulture Park. We did about 4.5 miles in the heat, and one time I was just charging up the hill about as fast as I could go, and I almost got this tunnel vision where I was just feeling like complete joy and in touch with my body, and my breathing was nice and steady. It wasn't ragged or anything. It was like, yeah, this is living right here. So it's that, or charging down a hill on my mountain bike. We got a little single track trail here, actually just kind of in the middle of downtown. A guy built it in his backyard on a hill, but it's a really nice little trail. And feeling the wind in my hair and my beard. It's great.
Never heard of the wind in my beard.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what is a morning and day routine and also evening routine that makes sure that you are on point and don't slack off?
Yeah, when my morning routine is at its best, I wake up, and sometimes my son will wake up with me and he'll make the coffee, which is great. But then I start off with this really great prayer from John Eldridge and his team at Ramsden Tart. They call it the Daily Prayer, and it's about 10 or 15 minutes long. Sometimes I listen to the recording of John Eldridge reading it. Sometimes I read it myself, and that just helps me get in the right mindset, the right spirit for the day. Then I'll do the meditation from the Daily Calm that day. I'll do some reading. Currently, I'm reading Bear Grylls' new book called Soul Fuel. It's really great, like just a little daily devotional book from Bear, which I'm I'm growing in respect for that guy, as he's an adventurous guy. He's been in the SAS. He's done the man versus wild thing, but now he's getting more about his faith out there, which I really appreciate. So I do some reading. Sometimes I'll incorporate some physical elements into it. Like this fall, I think I'm going to get back into chopping firewood in the morning, because I want to put a wood stove out in my shop. So yeah, that's kind of my morning routine. And then evening routine, after the kids go to bed, my wife and I will, basically just hang out on the couch. We'll watch one of our favorite shows together, spend some connecting time together. We'll have a cup of tea or, a light snack together and just talk about the day and things that we appreciate about each other, things that we've been enjoying lately, schedule stuff that's coming up so we can get everything off of our plate. And then I'll read some fiction to kind of wind down. Like I'm reading The Lord of the Rings now. I haven't read it in a really long time, and I'm trying to get more of that mythic element into my life. So there's nothing like a really great, well-written fantasy or sci-fi book like that for me.
So cool. So it's not only adventure, like going out of it with their rucksack, climbing the mountains, also reading the books.
Absolutely.
So you spoke about
steeped in adventure throughout the day, yeah.
Immersion. So John Eldridge, you mentioned. Could you share? So you said it's a 15-minute prayer, so you don't need to share all of it. But what is the essence of that prayer?
Yeah. So the essence of it, I'll read a little bit of it because it's it basically goes through kind of all the elements of our lives and then of the elements of God. You basically start with surrendering yourself and say, I come today to be restored, to be renewed, and to receive life and love and grace and mercy that I need this day. And it's the first part is about surrender to God, and then talking about the Trinity and the elements of that, and how you renounce all other gods and idols, and you break any connections with other people or entities that may have attached themselves to you, throughout the previous day. There's elements of just praising God for who He is as the perfect Father, and all the elements that go into that, and thanking Jesus for His friendship and His sacrifice, and putting on the full armor of God, the breastplate of righteousness and the shoes of the gospel of peace and the belt of truth and the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit and all that. So it kind of just goes through armoring up for the day, surrendering, and accepting the gifts that God has given us, reaching out in help to the Holy Spirit for counsel throughout the day, bringing in the protection of the angels, things like that. It's really good, very comprehensive, and something that they've been challenging us who are going to their retreat in October, their Wild at Heart boot camp. The first thing they did after you sign up was like, you will be under spiritual assault over the next few months. You need to read this prayer every day. And I was like, really? Okay. I mean, it's a good prayer. I've read it a couple times. But that very night, I came under assault. Like my wife and I got into an argument over nothing. And we rarely argue. And I was like, oh, this is what spiritual warfare is. Like these little insidious things that can flip a situation from, a nice evening on the couch to separating, and sitting on the opposite ends of the couch and going to bed angry. It's like, oh yeah, I really need to pray against that. And it's really powerful when you do.
Yeah. I'm really excited about. I have some more questions. I want to know, dig deep into this boot camp and the Wild at Heart. It's like one of the most amazing books I've ever read in my life. But we get down to that soon. Could you share what is the favorite way for you to connect to your kids, and when you do that, how does it make you feel?
Yeah. Each one of them as they grow. So we've got 3 kids. We've got Alex, my son, he's about to turn 6 in October. We have Jane, who's 3, and Felicity, who's going to be 1 next month, which is crazy. So the older 2 are, got a little bit more of their personality out than the baby, but finding something when their little hearts come alive that I can do with them is just so rewarding. Like for me and Alex, we were in Taekwondo class together. and seeing his face when he gets to break a board is just awesome. You know, he started out that class as just a scared little kid, and like he was crying and he was clawing on my leg and didn't want to do anything. And now a few months later, he's counting in Korean and leading the class in stretching and breaking boards and practicing self-defense moves with me on the bed at home and wrestling around. I love that. My daughter Jane, she's really creative. She's really goofy and spunky. For me, though, is like just getting to. She doesn't invite snuggling and hugs as much as Alex does. So when I get that moment of Daddy, can I snuggle with you? Oh man, just friggin' melts my heart. And you know, Felicity's just a baby, so just she is the best baby out there. Sorry, anybody else. It's subjective. it's empirical. Just her little smile, and now she's like, you know, kind of lights up when I throw a little stuffed ball to her, or you know, kind of play around with her little stuffed dog, and yeah, it's just yeah, those little moments are the best.
Could you share something that you celebrate about yourself, something that you're proud of about the man that you are right here and now, the guy who sits there?
Yeah, it's actually some of my so a couple of things. The way I show up with my wife, our marriage, I think is an inspiration to a lot of people. We've been married for 10 years this month, back on the 8th of August, and our relationship is as strong as it's ever been. And I think that's because of the work that we've both done on ourselves as individuals. My physical accomplishments, like I've lost 50 pounds in 6 months through rucking around mostly. And you know, one of the things that I love lately is I did this 50-mile event called the Go Ruck Star Course. I led a team of 5 guys over a little less than 20 hours. We carried a 20-pound steel plate for 51.2 miles. And at the end of that, so it was actually 3 Alliance guys and one guy who I think should be in the Alliance. He's not yet. But 2 of them come up to me and said, you know what, you showed true strength and leadership last night and today, and I would take a bullet for you. If you asked, if it came down to that, I would die for you if you needed it. Which there's not many moments in life where you can have guys that you love and care about truthfully say that to you and know that they meant it. So that's what I'm most proud of is the training that went into that moment being true.
It sounds like only a man that is wild at heart shows up in that way and get anyone reaching out and offering that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had an opportunity to share one message, like one truth, one insight that you have had during your lifetime, and everyone would realize it, not understand, but really believe it, and by that, the world would be a better place, what realization would you share with the world?
Fatherhood is a team sport. It's not meant to be done alone. You need other men, women around who are like-minded in 3 things. You know, so we're gonna get into wild at heart here. Get people together, do life together, and have these 3 things: an adventure to live, a battle to fight, and a beauty to rescue. So the adventure to live is, you know, you need moments regularly where you're persevering into elements of the unknown and building your character and finding fulfillment. You need a battle to fight. You need a cause that you can stake your life on together in community. And you need a beauty to rescue. You need to show up in a way that your wife or, you know, your girlfriend, whatever, they're revealing the beauty within themselves to you. Not that they need to be rescued, but that you're allowing their heart to be fully alive by the way you show up for them and with them. And doing that in community together, supporting each other when you're down. I mean, I was talking with a really good friend of mine. His name is Larry Yatch. He's a retired Navy SEAL. He's in a very similar stage of life to me, although he's 10 years older. He's got 2 young boys about the same age as mine too, and we go through the same stuff as dads. And we're doing fatherhood together, even though he's down in Florida. And just knowing that, hey, I'm going through this thing. My son's afraid of the dark. What do I do about that? Oh, here, you can try to talk to him like this. It's so valuable to have those guys in life who are, a little bit ahead of you, or maybe have a little bit more wisdom than you, or in a certain area, but are in the same stage of life, helping fill in those gaps in your skill set. And you're offering your strength as well, of like, I'm showing guys that, yeah, it's not only possible, but it's necessary to put together a local tribe and go hiking together with your kids on a regular basis. It's good to do that. Here, come along. We're meeting Wednesday night at the Boy Scout camp, doing things that I am strong in and bringing others along with me, and then asking for help when I need it. That was a long-winded answer, but
it's well needed. It's well needed. Thank you. So could you share, like, I want to get into the adventure part, and to get in there, really get in there, we must start from the beginning. It's like when I hear any man say like, I'm into adventure, or like I need more adventure, has been usually this time of opposite of adventure.
Yeah.
So I want to hear like your story. Like, did you experience a time of being stagnant, feeling stuck, like frustrated, trapped?
Absolutely.
As a husband, as a father, and how was that? And what was your journey to get out of it?
Yeah, I was feeling all of those things. It was the end of 2016. Actually, I have a picture of it. I'll send you sometime. It was a couple of months into a new job. So here at Purdue, the summer previous, I had been laid off, and so like my career life seemed uncertain. I wasn't even doing any mechanical engineering anymore, like I got a degree for. I was like, what am I even doing with my career? I have no idea. I'm stuck. My relationship with my wife wasn't as good as I would like it to be. We weren't connecting as well as I wanted regularly. I was getting angry and short with my kids. I mean, we only had 2 at the time, but it was just, I wasn't connecting with them how I wanted to. I wasn't showing up the way I wanted to. I was 50 or 60 pounds overweight. I was slow. I was flabby. I was out of breath just going up the stairs. And I was, doing things that I shouldn't be doing. I was looking at stuff on the internet that I shouldn't have been. I was drinking a little bit too much, not like alcoholism or anything, but just not like paying attention to how often and how much. And so I reached out in January of 17 to the Dad Edge big group now. It was only a couple thousand people at the time, but I
Can you tell me like this moment, what happened? Like this moment, like when you reached out, what made you like enough?
I was sick of doing the things that I was doing, and like trying what I thought was helping, of reading blogs and listening to podcasts and being in accountability groups, and none of it was working. Even my prayers weren't effective. Like I wasn't in a place with my relationship with God where like I think he was teaching me that like, hey, you have all you need right here. You just need to ask for it in the way that you need to ask for it. And so I posted in that Facebook group, the Dad Edge, run by Larry Hagner. I was like, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. This is where I'm at. I need help. Like, anybody got any advice? And, most of my best friends now replied on that post, including one guy. His name is Eric Davis. He's a retired Navy SEAL as well. I love me some Navy SEALs. And he's like, hey, if you want some unconventional accountability, here's my email address. It's like, oh, unconventional accountability. I like that. And so over the course of some emails and text messages and a phone call, he's like, hey, you know what? These things that you're dealing with, these are just symptoms of you not taking care of the important parts of you. You're not taking care of your body. You're not working out to exhaustion like you need to be. You're not taking care of your spirit. You're not reading things and listening to things that are filled with the Holy Spirit regularly. You're not connecting with your wife intimately regularly. You're not doing all these things that are now leading you to do things you hate. So he's like, all right, I want you to do one thing. You're going to focus on your body first because everything flows from there. And you're going to start working out, doing something every day that gets you absolutely exhausted. And then on a monthly basis, you're going to do the Navy SEAL physical fitness test. You're going to do as many push-ups as you can do 2 minutes, as many sit-ups as you can do 2 minutes, as many pull-ups as you can do until you fail, a 1.5 mile run time. And it started out, so after a few months of working out, I did my first PT test, and it was like 40 push-ups, 40-something sit-ups. I could not even do a pull-up, and my 1.5 mile time was like 16 minutes or something. And then over the course of 6 months, I carried this backpack around. It's not a backpack, it's a rucksack with 45 pounds of bricks all around campus. And I kept it at my desk. And every time I went to or from my desk, I did 10 reps of something like push-ups, or I did a minute of planks, or I did some ruck swings or squats or something. And not much more than that. Like sometimes I would do an extra workout at night, go ruck a couple miles or go biking or whatever. And over the course of 6 months, I lost 50 pounds. I went from that 40 push-ups in 2 minutes to 90. I went to 110 sit-ups. And I think the best during that time I got in my run was about 11 minutes and 20-something seconds, which was the best I'd done in a really, really long time. And then a few months after that, I completed the 8 weeks to SEAL Fit workout program, which was brutal. And then I got finally down to being able to do a 1.5 mile run in 9.5 minutes. And then everything from there was, I think we lost Matthias. I don't know if I'm still on or not, but he'll tell me in a second. Being able to know that I can persevere in that way physically, just everything else kind of worked out over time. I knew I could persevere in this next element, and I just kept moving through. I hope Matthias is still there. We're going to send him a message here and see what's going on. There we are.
Hey! You were doing 10 of each.
Yeah, I would do 10 reps of something. So I'd have to go to the bathroom. I'd do 10 push-ups. I'd come back. I'd do 10 more. Go get a drink of water. Okay, 10 rows. I get back. I do 10 more. I had a checklist on my cabinet. Like I put a little, a picture of each exercise, and then I'd put a check mark next to every time I did 10 reps, so I could, kind of see my progress throughout the week.
And where did you end up after this 6 months?
So after the 6 months, I was able to do 90 push-ups in 2 minutes, 110 sit-ups. I got down to 11 minutes and 17 seconds for the 1.5 miles, but then a few months later, at the end of those 6 months, I started doing the 8 weeks to SEAL Fit workout program. And by the end of that, I was able to get down to the 9 minutes, 30, 1.5 miles, and keep up my push-ups and sit-ups and deadlift 365 pounds. I could squat 1.5 times my body weight. I could bench press my body weight. Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
And what happened? So that was like the physical part, and then you actually felt stuck in basically all areas before that.
Now it was like, oh, okay. Thankfully my job is very flexible, and my boss was really encouraging. Like, he saw me going to the gym and was like, hey, I'm going to the gym. I'll be back. He's like, great. I'll see you over there. I'm going to go swim myself. So that was really helpful. But then all these other areas started to kind of work themselves out too, of like, over time, I was connecting with other guys who are like, dude, you're getting ripped. Like, what's going on? And then finding that their strength also lied in relating to their wives better. And so I was like, hey, how do you connect with your wife at night? And so, started doing things like every Wednesday night, giving her time to herself, and I put the kids to bed, and like that was able to give her enough breathing room to start working on herself. And then we started connecting better after the kids go to bed, and having better conversations, and just kind of went from there. And I got into the book Wild at Heart, and kind of rediscovered my connection with God a little bit more. And I'm able to talk about my faith more openly now than I've ever been. I'm not ashamed of it anymore. And just all these things just kind of flowed one after another of just, okay, what's the next thing I can work on, and double down on this area of strength. And yeah, it's been really cool. And now, like, the first time I talked to Eric, he was, in person, he was like, inviting me into this coaching group that he had that was super expensive and exclusive, and like, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to do that. And now, a couple years later, I'm not only coaching, but I'm actually teaching leadership and teams with his former Navy SEAL teammate, Larry Atch. And I just, a little over a year ago, went down to visit them in Florida, and we went diving at night for lobster. Like, that's just a regular Wednesday for me now, is diving in the dark with Navy SEALs. And I don't want to go back. Like, I never want to go back. And I want to show other guys, like, yeah, you could do this too. If I did it, anybody can.
So this is about going back. It's because like now you're on the other side of something. Yeah. But can you share, like, what had you, like, when you were on that point when you were stuck, what had you actually given up on that you did not know you had access to?
Yeah, I'd given up on having control over my time. Like, I had just resigned myself and like, okay, yeah, I've got to be stuck to my desk from 8 in the morning till 5 at night, and that's just what it is. I have no agency. I have no ability to adventure throughout the day. And that was complete and utter bullcrap. Like, I realize I'm very fortunate to have a flexible job. It's not a big deal for me to go take 15 minutes and go ruck around the block if I need to clear my head. I know not everybody has that, but, I realized over time, like, you know what? I'm better at my job on those days where, yeah, I take an hour and a half lunch break and I go spend it crushing myself in the gym. And it helps me be better at the stuff that I need to take care of the rest of the day. So why wouldn't I do that? And my boss is like, yeah, do more of that because you're getting better every time you do. And so it was just realizing, I have more control over my life than I thought I did. And when I give that up is when I feel trapped. When I take control over my time, especially, and what I put my focus on of, yeah, I want to make sure that I do something adventurous every day. I want to make sure that I exercise my masculine strength in some way every day.
In your mic, bro. Better now?
Is it? Yeah. Is that better?
No.
Let's see.
Now it's better. Yeah. Thank you.
But yeah, I want to do something to where I'm doing some element of persevering every day. I want to do something where I'm using my masculine strength every day, and I've got the time in the day to do that. And sure, there are some days where I've got to put in more hours at my job or whatever, and so it's not every day that I accomplish that, but more days than not, I'm able to take control of my calendar to where I'm incorporating the things that fill me up, that help me come alive, and that helps me be better in everything else, from my job to my relationships and everything that matters.
So about adventure, this feeling of stuckness, I have had a bunch of friends the past years that actually got separated with their wives or their girlfriends, and now their kids are going back and forth. And I see this, they might have a good time or a better time now, but as it is, like, usually it happens because the man does not feel free. So reading something like, if it's David Data or whoever is like speaking about the masculine desires freedom, And if we don't feel the freedom and the power of that, we will feel like a really frustrated like monster in a cage, and will break out, will do everything to get out.
Yeah.
And the relationship, the marriage, or the kids could be put to blame. Like, the reason my life sucks is because this woman, she doesn't allow me to do anything I want. And then kind of becoming a victim. And then the rational way is like, get out of it to be free.
Yeah.
But then actually, that is not the truth. Because she's just a symbol of something else. She's just like receiving the projection.
Yeah.
And that's why one of the parts why I'm so inspired by your adventure work, or why it triggered something in me so strongly. So could you show on why you believe men need adventure in the way that you're providing and that you're developing? You know, what happens to a man that doesn't get that adventure, and what does it give a man to have this kind of adventure?
Yeah, so kind of how I describe adventure, my distinction for it, I actually developed it with my buddy Larry. And so far, I believe this to be a fundamental truth. We haven't found a way to break it yet. If anybody out there can find a way to break this distinction, let me know, because I want to improve it. I will be the first to admit that I am wrong. But it is an experience where you learn by persevering into the unknown and finding fulfillment. And there's a lot baked into that. It's very seemingly simple, but it's elegant, right? I've been studying Stoic philosophy for a couple years as well. You were talking about kind of that victim mindset of feeling like everybody's out to get you, and everything's happening to you. Well, it's completely false. We always have control over how we react in any given situation. So what I'm trying to teach men is that you always have the ability to persevere. And the more you do that, the more you will grow in character, and which is really what we want. And by growing in character, we get hope for the future that, okay, no matter how bad the situation I'm in right now, if I control my emotional response to it, if I see it appropriately, if I perceive it for what it is, as, okay, this happened, here's how I'm going to respond. I'm going to choose to persevere through it and show up with my masculine strength. I'm going to give something to this situation to make it more positive. I'm going to learn something from this. The other people who are in this situation with me are going to learn as well, and we're going to come out the other side better, no matter how crappy the situation is. And that's what true adventure is. It's not necessarily just the mountain biking in Whistler. It's not climbing Everest. I mean, or running across America. Although all those things are adventurous, true adventure is being able to see any situation that you have some element of the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. Being able to persevere through that anyway, in a way that you grow your character.
I appreciate the distinction. Like, I think the power of adventure for me is that it's so tangible.
Yeah.
Like with the Dadpreneur Revolution, I work with two kind of complex parts. And it's dads, huge complexity to be a dad. The role is so big. And then many guys are husbands, and then to be business owners. But the power of a business is like, okay, I made a sale. Look, money on the account. Ching, I'm awesome. Or after that, I delivered value to my client. I'm the man. Or climbing up the mountain, finishing the mountain bike trail. It's like, yeah, I did it. Or like, and really like, I struggled, but I made it to the end. And then it's like you mentioned some moments earlier, like the things you enjoy doing with your kids. But in that, like that's the next moments, they are crying, and anyway, for me, like I can feel like a complete failure.
Oh yeah.
So like the accomplishment, or like the clear destination, is so much vaguer in a way.
Yeah.
It doesn't give that sense of accomplishment that these other actually like business and outdoors adventure does. And I think for me to bring back the power in my relationship, to be able to give like fatherhood and my marriage importance is to like put that context, both of the fulfillment and the achievement into it, like actually put it into context that I can win. Because usually it's like, oh, I want my kids to be happy, but they're crying every day, I'm failing. And that's not the context that is winnable. So then instead I get out of here, I go and work, because there I'm enough.
Yeah, and that is the key there. And this is something I'm struggling with, is that self-worth of, you know, when you come to that moment of, you know, maybe your boss calls you into his office and says, hey, you know, you messed this up, or, you know, you drop the ball on at home, and you get frustrated with your kids and you yell at them over something, and you have that moment of, I did it again. No, I'm not worthy. Like, why am I even here? And it's that moment of decision where you've got that why in the road, where you can decide to give into that negative self-talk and go down a pretty dark spiral, or you can say, no, hey, wait, failure is an event, not a person. I am not a failure. I failed, and that's okay. And I learned. And so that's the daily, sometimes moment by moment choice we all have in any situation. Of another illustration from my buddy Larry. I learn a lot from him all the time. He's like, hey, you've got, like, imagine a literal Y in the road, you know, and on this side is the path to destruction, you know, that giving into that negative self-talk. You can go there, sure, you can absolutely choose that. Or on this side is the path to life and love and fulfillment and, you know, your true you. Why don't you choose that?
Sounds so simple, right?
Yeah, it's simple, but it's not easy. Like, even to just be able to perceive that you have a choice is hard.
Yeah.
And I don't do it all the time, and I don't do it well all the time either. Like, sometimes you're like, you know what? Screw it. I want to be angry right now. You know what? I'm just going to be angry.
Yeah.
I may regret it later, but...
So I learned, actually, it was yesterday, that you love Wild Tart.
Yeah.
For some reason, I came over that book. It must have been maybe 4 or 5 years, and it's one of the worst books I've read, because it took me kind of on a dark journey. You know, I connected to so many parts of myself through that book, that like, oh, I've been, you know, neglecting parts of myself. I thought I was another man than I am, and it's like, just by his clear writing, like, awoke so many things in me that was suppressed for so long time.
Yeah.
So I really needed to rediscover myself. I think it was a 6-month process. I don't know if I call it the depression, but it was like a lot of confusion and kind of recreation for that.
Yeah.
So I will read it soon, very soon again. So could you share some of the insights, what has touched you with this book, and how it has transformed who you are and still is?
Yeah. One of the big things he talks in there is about the wound, the father wound, that just about every man has. Some time in your past, whether it's as a kid or a young adult, where your dad wounded you in your area of your greatest strength. Like, the thing that you loved the most, he threw in the garbage, whether intentionally or not. And all of us have it. I do. I love my dad. He's a great man, but he was passive when I was a kid. To some extent, he still is. He chose, by not choosing, to let his job dictate his day. Not spending time with us when we needed him to. Not choosing to do the things we needed to. And so I carry that with me, of reacting against it, of like, I never want to be passive. So that was a big thing, of just knowing that, and then also I know I'm going to screw up in that area, or I feel like I'm going to, with my own son, and trying to be mindful of, like, and maybe a little bit more than I should, if like when I react poorly to something he does, or not attentive to his little heart. Like, I really don't want to put a wound in him if I can help it. And so that's been huge for me, is being able to like acknowledge to Alex when I screw up and I'm not attentive to his heart, of like, hey, I messed up. You know, I'm still learning how to be a dad, just like you're learning how to be 5. You know, and I love you. I love that you're sensitive. But it's hard for me when you're crying to, you know, react well to that, and I messed up. So that was a big one for me. Another was, for so long, I made my wife and girlfriends before her the adventure. Like, they were the goal. And that has been damaging to all of them. And being able to realize, like, oh no, I need to have something for myself that I'm adventuring into, that I can invite her along for the ride, instead of making her the ultimate pinnacle of my adventure, which is damaging to both of us. So that was big for me, just having permission to be my own man, apart from my wife, who I want to be with the rest of my life, but she is not everything for me. She can't be and shouldn't be, and doesn't need that pressure on her. She's already got enough pressure of being a mom and being a teacher and being a woman. Like, I don't need to then put the further pressure on her. Oh, you're everything to me. You're my best friend. You're, you know, like, no, she's not. She's my best female friend, absolutely. But I've got best guy friends, and that's healthy, and I need that. And, you know, so she is not my full emotional support. I don't puke my emotions all over her. I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm hurting right now, but I'm going to go talk to John about it, and it's going to be okay. And here's how you can support me, you know, and not expecting her to be the full support. That's been huge. You know, just a couple of things. I mean, the whole book is a freaking, you know, B-52 full of wisdom bombs, but that's why I'm so looking forward to reading it again before the boot camp. So that boot camp is going through the whole book through a series of talks by John and the Ransomed Heart team out in the mountains of Colorado, where, sorry, we had a tour group going by here. I picked a really bad spot for an interview. But anyway, so we go through the whole book in a series of talks, and, you know, moments by the campfire with the other men, and, you know, solitude in the mountains. It's going to be really amazing.
What it's like, so after that journey, what do you think, what do you hope that you will bring with you as an integrated man?
I think the biggest thing is going to be that being comfortable with not knowing what the next thing is going to be. Like, just being okay, being here with God and say, hey, what do you got for me next? Where do you want me to put my foot? Where do you want me to put my hand? And being okay with only knowing that, and not having to have the certainty of the next 5 years of my life planned out, or even the next 5 days of my life completely planned out, and just being able to rest in that kind of constant panic mode of like, oh, we're really in a life of adventure because things are uncertain. And even if I only know the next place to put my foot, that's good enough.
You said you just celebrated your 10th anniversary with your wife, so congratulations. Yeah. Respect. And you shared this kind of picture when on your wedding picture, and then you made the same picture with her 10 years later.
That was so much fun.
And what touched me with that, like I tried to pay attention to like what's going on in these people's lives. And the wedding day is obviously like a very exciting day. It's like a huge milestone. And what I read in your faces 10 years ago and today were in the wedding picture, there was hope. And in that hope, there was also, I hope this will be good, some kind of fear, like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm going to leap, I don't know what's going on. But it was that sense like, this is going to be good, but, oh, what's actually here? And now 10 years later, you're doing kind of the same face, looking at each other, but there's this little other spice to it. And what I see there is faith.
Yeah.
So maybe you don't see that, but that's what I saw. So if you would play with that as a truth, could you share what has shifted during these 10 years to make you now live in faith?
That's a really good way to put it. I couldn't figure it out, but it was the same thing when we were taking that picture of just looking into Tracy's eyes and going like, we're going to be together until we're 130. And we were going to be that couple that people, say, get a room when we're 90. And like on our wedding day, like you were saying, it was like, yeah, we want that, but like, I don't know, the world is hard. And now 10 years in, we're like, yeah, it's going to be hard, but we can do it. We have done it for 10 years. Like, and if we can do it for 10 years, we can do it for 100. And it gets better every day. And we're closer now. I think we're better looking now than we were then. I know my wife is for sure. And I mean, 3 kids looks great on her. And just those playful moments of looking into each other's eyes, going like, we were so naive back then, and now just like every day is an opportunity to grow closer, even if we're just sitting on the couch watching Netflix. Like we don't need to have these grand gestures of romantic things, although we do enjoy doing that from time to time. And it's about just enjoying each other's presence and spirits. Yeah, that's been the biggest thing, of just spending time, true quality time together. Like something I've realized over the past couple of years, and the Alliance has helped a lot, was just how to be more in tune with how to love my wife better. Of simple things, like she really appreciates it when the first thing I do when I get down the stairs at night after the kids go to bed is clean the kitchen and clean the cat litter. So that, in some at least small way, she can feel more relaxed about her environment at home, which helps her inner life feel less chaotic. And that I'm able to do that for her helps a lot and helps us connect. And then, giving up time in the wood shop to spend time on the couch with a bowl of popcorn and a cup of tea watching some mindless TV show together means a lot to her. And knowing that it's not a sacrifice to do that anymore. Like, sure, I love building things in the shop, but what I love more is my wife, and connecting with her and finding ways to show up for her better is more important than building a table for some client. So I gave up a whole woodworking business. Not even gave up, chose not to do it anymore because it was killing me. So that almost every night, without fail, unless I've got to go on a trip for work or to a conference or something, we're spending at least an hour connecting over what seemingly is nothing, but it's everything.
And like I've been working a lot with my wife on the topic of trust. And so basically, I'm like, yeah, I trust everyone. Like that's my mind. It's like I believe, in the best ability of all, or the beingness of all. But what I really learned the past 6 months or year is like the levels of trust and that I had no idea about. And she has taught me a lot about that through the journey that we are on, and disappointments and mistakes and so on, and regaining. It's like, yeah, but it's okay. I love you still. You're okay.
Yeah.
So can you share anything about a journey that you have taken with your wife of building trust through, not handling it well and still sticking together even though?
Oh yeah, I've got a couple of big moments where I was a complete idiot. So we'll let this tour group go by here. For years leading up to our marriage and even into our marriage, I was not doing things well in my thought life, which manifested itself into an addiction to pornography, which she found out about by finding my Google search history once. And it, led to a blow up in the kitchen, rightfully so. And it took a long time to get her trust back. A long time. And so, but we worked through it because we both knew that, it was till death do us part. And I worked on myself and worked on being worthy of her trust again. And it was a constant process, but it was worth it.
And what do you think it is that made her like not give up on you? That like with something in your communication or who you are or who she is, to say like, this doesn't mean that you're a guy to be untrustworthy. It means you did something, but I still.
Oh, I mean, it was totally for a good while that, yeah, you are untrustworthy, but I still love you anyway, and you're going to be trustworthy again, but you're going to show me. It was, her commitment that she had made 10 years ago. Like, yeah, I committed to you. You really hurt me, but I'm going to stick with you. We're going to figure this out. But for a while, we're going to be, working on trust and nothing else.
I feel so strong, like to be in the image of the waves of the relationship. Like sometimes it will be epic and sometimes it will be really low, and after it's really low, hope will come back, and
yeah,
will be in that kind of timeline when there is so much pain.
Yeah,
it's a very important perspective that I need to remember more often.
Yeah, and I need to remind myself too, is like, that those days were just some of the worst, and I honestly contemplated suicide a couple times. Like, I don't know that I can do this. Like, I don't know that I can do this anymore. And thankfully I realized, like, okay, that's not going to help anything. Like, this is not going to make it better. And a lot of I had some really close people help me through that, but knowing that it was gonna be hard, but is worth it in the end. Very, very worth it.
I think, like, no matter what it is, it's in this kind of addictions that I think men are very kind of tuned to end up in. That is what I understand, a result of not being able to handle one's own emotions in a very effective way, or actually being really crappy in handling one's emotions. So it's like when it's out of control, one goes to an area where one can control, and it's really easy to Google to Google some pornography and get an answer that one wants. Like, yeah, I made it. I find something cool. Like, I'm the champion, but actually not. But really, the importance of what I came to realize, that it's not my fault that I'm unable to process emotion. It's not my fault that I'm useless in these areas of asking for help or knowing what to do. It's like I'm being trained like that. Our culture has built us up to act like this, and our parents have done their best, and this is the result. So actually, even though the society, our culture, and the people have done their best, it's actually really, really hard for guys these days to be on a level that they think are acceptable. And like in Sweden, number of men eating depression antidepressants, like it's growing so fast, and it's so much about like not having a path to express emotions, and that when we do something that we know is not in integrity, we fail and we are like bad guys. But actually, obviously we'll do a lot of mess ups because that's in our programming. It's actually a wonder when we don't do it. That's a miracle. Because that's like proof like we've gone such a journey.
Yeah, it's hard when you've got that such hardwired neuroprogramming to do stuff you don't want to do. But that's the work. That's the journey. That's the process that we all get to be on. That's
why we're here. And on that note, so you have overcome a lot of limiting beliefs, and you shared some of the shifts you have made. But can you share some processes that you have used to overcome and redefine who you are?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of those things is just realizing that I can change intentionally. Like I can, put my intention towards new neural pathways to do the things that I want to do, to bring about the kind of life that I want and the impact that I want in the world. I can choose that, which is huge. And having, coaches and other members of my various teams I'm on help me with that has been really big, of just, not only am I enough, but I can help others see that they're enough. And, I go through this, I've got tons of tools now that, thought tools from a few different people, Larry Atch being the biggest one, and John Eldridge, of course, as well, of, when I find myself in those situations where I don't want to be, of how to get out of it, and how do I interrupt that drift into the negative, the ineffective space. So yeah, those limiting beliefs now, kind of the biggest way I've gotten past, not all of them, of course, but whenever they show up, is being mindful of those, like, okay, yeah, this is where I'm holding myself back. And then saying, okay, what tool do I need to bring to bear to this if I am feeling up to attacking it right now, and moving through that with the most effective way I know how, reaching out to other people, asking for their advice and their counsel, praying about it powerfully, breaking these agreements I've made with myself and with others over the years. It's been a fun ride.
I was in this intense, it's like a warrior training some month ago, and I was kind of praying to get rid of the self-doubt. But as while I was in that prayer, I realized, no, I don't want to do that, because self-doubt, it actually means that I'm progressing.
It's what keeps you in check.
Yeah, but also, like, if I'm at like a certain level, and when I'm to reach the next level, I should have self-doubt. That's healthy, because I've never done that thing before.
Yeah.
So the moment I'm out of self-doubt is that when I'm out of control, I'm out of expansion, then I will not have self-doubt, because I do, can I lie on the couch? Yes. Can I do that without self-doubt? Yes. But that's not a good place to be. So I don't want, I changed the prayer to like, don't be like controlled by self-doubt.
Yeah.
But still have it and receive it as a gift, to see how can I work with this environment.
Yeah, that's really huge. I think we were talking about this yesterday on the call with Benji Grosek, of like how fear can really actually be helpful and serve you to keep you moving forward to where you want to be. And same thing with doubt. Like, I can't remember if it was In Wild at Heart or something else John Eldridge wrote about how, you know, so many men like fall away or don't even want a relationship with God because they aren't pushing themselves enough. You know, they aren't in a place where they need anyone outside of themselves because they aren't growing, they aren't living, they aren't you know, they aren't adventuring, they aren't exploring. And sure, like, you don't need God to sit on the couch and watch Netflix. You don't need him. But you do need him when you're trying to do what you were created to do, which is always going to be uncertain and difficult and, you know, full of doubt and despair and attack. And that is exactly where you need God.
So we're just about to wrap up, and I want you to share like your adventure project. If you want to share how people can connect to you regarding that, or share a little bit about what it is also, and the #1 channel where people can reach out to you.
Yeah, so the biggest thing that I'm on right now is helping to solve the problem of a lack of adventure in the lives of men that leads us to looking forward more to going to bed at night than waking up in the morning. And so I'm starting a local group first to try it out, of a small group of guys, 5 to 12 guys, just in my church and doing adventure together regularly. And you can follow along with that on the anthemoftheadventurer.com. I've got a blog there about kind of my progress with this project. You can also see my podcast. There's a whole bunch of episodes from the past year, and we're going to be starting our new season here in October. And it's all going to be about perseverance is this next season. And starting off with, I can't wait for this first interview. I only know him by Cadre Igor. He is a retired Delta Force member who was in the Battle of Mogadishu. So if you ever watched Black Hawk Down, he was one of the guys hanging out of the Little Bird helicopters in the actual battle. So we're going to talk about perseverance in his life, and it's going to be released on the anniversary of the Battle of Mogadishu. So you can find the podcast, The Anthem of the Adventurer, on iTunes, on Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, all that jazz. And if you want to join in the conversation, share about your adventures, we have a Facebook group called the Anthem of the Adventurer Tribe, and it's a closed group, so you got to apply to get in. So, you know, we don't like spammers or anything in there. It's pretty small, but a really cool little community. And if you're wanting to go to the next level, or like, yeah, I'm ready to get off the couch, but I don't really know what to do, we've got a course called Get Off the Beach that I filmed on Omaha Beach in Normandy. And it's all about the importance and dignity of casual adventures in our lives, some examples of what to do for some casual adventures. It'll challenge you a little bit to develop some new skills for casual adventures. It's really awesome. So if you want some more on that, shout on Facebook. It's probably the best way.
Awesome. Thank you.
Right on. Thanks for having me.
Truly insightful to have you here. Thank you for sharing so openly and authentically. It's obvious that you've been practicing. We know each other from the Dad's Edge Alliance, so that's where we got a lot of practice to be true.
Absolutely.
It's really beautiful to see that the surface from what's inside and what's outside is not very different.
Yep, that's what I'm working on.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Take care, Matthias.
Hang along, and I will come back to you right on. So, Dadpreneur, business revolutionaries, thank you so much for joining us. If you've been here live on Facebook or are listening to a recorded podcast afterwards, thank you. This is a journey to unveil our leadership, to be our best version of ourselves. And now we have some epic tools that we received from Dan. So thank you so much. So if you want to reach out and join our community, we have a group, and we are supporting men to step up to their power in leading their life and their families by developing dadpreneur businesses. So we are here to support you to be the best version of yourself. So I'm looking forward to see you on the top of life mastery, and enjoy the journey. Thank you so much.